Okay, so Felicia, we thank you for doing that. I am Sharon Tubbs, everyone. I am the director of Health Visions Midwest of Fort Wayne, and I'm so glad that you have come to join us for our Transitioning Careers webinar and panel discussion. Transitioning Careers, is it your time for change? I love that title because it expresses so much. You wouldn't think that in a pandemic it would be your time for change, but you're going to hear some experts in our community talking today about how it just might be your time for change. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on in the chat, but I'm not going to get distracted, and I'm just going to keep on talking. We're live, and so sometimes things go on and you kind of get distracted. But again, I'm Sharon Tubbs. I'm the director here in Health Visions. We are an organization that strives to equip and empower people in our community, which is Allen County, to live healthier lives. Okay, so that's what we are all about, to live healthier lives. And health doesn't always have to do with physical health. Health has so many components all rolled up into it, like social aspects of health, environmental, and employment, financial. Okay, if you don't have steady finances, sometimes it's hard to live a healthy life. It's hard to feel healthy. It's hard to feel whole. And so that's why we are putting on this particular webinar and panel discussion today. And so I am going to be one of the moderators. Javier Zaragoza, Wave Javier, is going to be another one of our moderators. Felicia Keller, she's there on the screen. She is the person who is doing all the behind the scenes work there. And so I want to start off. Are we ready for a poll question? Okay, so even before we actually introduce these other folks here, we're going to get to that. I know you're looking and you're saying, who is that beautiful woman in the peach? And then there's that woman in the blazer and she's looking good. And then there's that gentleman over there, that very handsome man down there at the bottom. Who are these folks? You're going to find out in just a minute. But right now, we want to do a poll of our participants. And we know we've got some people who might be streaming in on Facebook. So if you have an answer to this, we want you to just write your answer in the comments. But the poll that we want to start off with, our first question is, how has the pandemic affected your work life? How has the pandemic affected your work life? So we just want you to put your answer to that question in the poll. Give you just a little time here.
We have some answers coming in. I like that.
We got some answers? Okay, so have you been laid off or lost your job? You couldn't work because the pandemic caused other issues at home? I work mostly from home now. I work more hours now. You're an essential worker, or the pandemic has had no effect on your job, or maybe there's something that we didn't think about. So go on ahead and put your answers in the chat. Felicia, do we have some answers?
Let's just give it just a little more time.
Okay,
just so
we'll
if
give
there's
y'all
anyone else, we'll just give them a few more seconds and then I will end the poll. So get your answers in.
Get them in. It's not that hard. Or maybe it is that hard. Let me stop. It could be a hard thing to answer because you know what? You may have more than one answer. You may have more than one answer to that. So what we're going to ask is you choose the best one. Ooh, yep. So someone is saying that they got laid off and work more hours. Okay. Both got laid off and work more hours. So Ruben, we hear you. We see you right now. It's a tough one.
All right, I'm going to end the poll because it says that everyone who's in the webinar has put their votes in.
Okay.
So I'm ending the poll and then I will share the results with everyone.
Okay.
So we can see kind of, what has happened.
Okay. So laid off or lost job due to the pandemic. Okay, no one said they couldn't work. So the most is other. Well, that's not that helpful because we don't know what other is. So type into the chat what other is. Maybe other is the both. Okay, so we can close this. What is the other? What is the other? Okay, so we got some people who both got laid off. Okay. Okay, nobody's typing anything into there. So what we're going to do is we're going to let you meditate on that. Okay, here we go. Okay, I was an essential worker. However, my hours were depending from clients. Okay. Okay. What is that? Her hours were depending on clients attending her office, and they stopped to come by hours. Your hours decreased. Okay, got it. Okay, I do virtual presentations now versus doing them in person before the pandemic. Okay. Okay, so that's how things have changed for Pat. Thank you. Thank you. So we see that the pandemic has had some effect on what we do and how we do it. Okay. And so that makes this panel discussion all the more timely, because we see that there is some effect, and we know that there are people out there who want to make a change in their lives even now. And perhaps for some people, even more so now. So let's get started. Let's get started on our discussion today. First, now we want to introduce our three panelists. For those of you who were not here, who are just tuning in, I see some more folks trickling in. I'm Sharon Tubbs with Health Visions Midwest. We've got Felicia Keller with Health Visions Midwest. She's behind the scenes. And Javier Zaragoza is my co-moderator. And Javier is going to introduce our panelists.
We're really, really grateful that all of you could join us, and especially our guests to be serving as our panelists. We have Lindsay Lordy, who is the Director of Operations and Programs over at Blue Jacket. It's an organization that is dear to my heart. They've been helping individuals who are underserved to try to find work, connect them to careers and life advancement. And it's a very, very strong organization, and it's one of the gems in our community. We also have Mr. Chris Doust, who is the Director of Retention and Engagement at Ivy Tech Community College. He and I had an interesting conversation about a lot of the challenges that folks who are choosing to go back to school as a career path or a career advancement move will have to move through. And there's a lot of things to think about, a lot of things that are timely, some things that are going to have date-driven requirements, and a variety of other things that we'll have a chance to discuss. We also have Ms. Leslie Hill, who's the Director of Women's Entrepreneurial Opportunity Center with the Northeast Indiana Innovation Center. Those are a lot of words. But
there's so many words.
But the really, really good thing that I really gleaned from our conversation, Leslie, was that you understand that the entrepreneurial spirit, sometimes people have a good idea that can be translated into the way that they choose to earn their living. And sometimes it just requires a little bit of connections, a little bit of brightness, and good connection, or good people to help you get to that next step.
Absolutely.
So we're glad you're all here to join us.
Wonderful. So now you know a little bit more about who is here and their affiliations. What we want to do now is want to give each of them a chance, each of our panelists a chance to talk a little bit more about themselves. Well, first, we want you to answer this question. How about that? We want you to answer the question from your different perspectives. How has the pandemic affected job preparation, careers, and business ventures in Allen County? Why don't we have Lindsay go first, since she's the one, she's kind of preparing people for jobs and transitions. Lindsay, how has the pandemic affected that?
Yeah, thanks, Sharon and Javier. I'm glad to be here. I think the pandemic has affected people's preparation for careers in a lot of different ways. First and foremost, you have to have access to technology nowadays. So many of us are used to going into a business, filling out an application, sitting down with people at a table to do an interview, being able to look at people across the table. And that in many cases is just not happening anymore. So being able to have access to technology, knowing how to use it, and being able to set things up somewhat on your own is really important. And those of us who are at home with small children, being able to find places to do that so that we're not being disrupted or things aren't pure chaos in the background behind us, that is difficult as well. but also just the aspect of you have to know your skills now. You can't bank on your education. You can't bank on past job experience, because there are a lot of people out there looking for jobs right now. And there are a ton of jobs open. And there are people who want different than what they've had in the past. So being able to really bank on your skills and your experiences is really important now post pandemic.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lindsay. Chris.
I think institutions, since I work at a college, we had to be flexible in our course delivery. So once the pandemic hit, we had to switch immediately to a virtual environment. And because we were providing online education for our faculty, that was easy to do. For our support services, we had to figure out a way to continue to provide high level of services, and we were able to do that. The biggest thing was making sure that our students had access to technology, and that has been a challenge, making sure that everyone has that ability to use a laptop and to have a pretty good, strong internet connection. And that really, I think the pandemic really showed that a lot of people may have access to technology, but they may not have access to the right technology in order to go to school. And so we, as the institution, ramped up a laptop loaner program and started getting hotspots and those kinds of things out to students. And it changed the way in which we provide education. And I think also in working with students, how do you work with a student who wants to be face-to-face, but they can't? And how do you help get them over that hump to learn? And so I think we've had a great response into addressing the issue of the pandemic and providing education in a way that was accessible to students, but also working very closely with those students one-on-one via Zoom and helping them to get up to speed on how to utilize the different softwares and the different things, and just being patient and providing them that assistance, because they never saw this, nobody saw this coming.
Right.
But then to be told that everything now is being done by a computer, and some don't even know how to use a computer, but they can use a smartphone. We at least knew they had some basic skills. So now let's work with them to move those skills over to a laptop. And we're still doing that and still working closely with our students. But I think institutions of education, of higher education, had to be very flexible in switching that teaching modality from a face-to-face to an online. And then how do we still get them the face-to-face for the degree programs that require it? So EMT, nursing, those clinicals. And we did a good job in working with our community partners once it became safe to reintegrate those things back into the classroom so that our students could complete.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Those have been the challenges.
Yeah, so that's great. We've got the changes in marketing yourself, as Lindsay was saying, marketing your skills in spite of not being face-to-face. And now also for those who are challenged to not have laptops and virtual access and that type of knowledge, that was another hurdle to overcome. Thank you. And Chris, obviously, with being at Ivy Tech, you have a great deal of non-traditional students. So older students, we're not just talking about people fresh out of high school here. We're talking about sometimes older, seasoned, I should say, individuals who are looking to do something different with their lives. Leslie.
Well, I will say, listening to both Lindsay and Chris, both of those have impacted business owners or those thinking about starting a business. But the one I want to focus on is really those who were already in business when the pandemic hit. I think it was very much this concept of let's go out and get all the toilet paper. So business owners were, how do we pull back and maybe lay off staff and try to be preemptive? Then once they realized they may have had 3 to 6 months runway, luckily for those. Then it was time to open back up and hire staff back. And now we are definitely seeing a huge shortage. So there are many, many job openings, but very few job fulfillments right now for small businesses.
Why is that? I mean, I keep going places and nobody's there and the staffing is off and it's the longer wait times. They have the signs out now. Why is that, Leslie, real quick?
Well, some of that has to do with the fact that we have been telling our workers for years, you know, either go get an education or upskill, do all these things so you can get a better job. Well, there are a lot of jobs open right now. So they may have gone and gotten these better jobs. And now the ones that are more entry level, these lower paying positions, people aren't rushing out to get them. We do have a really good safety net here in this country that will not last forever, but does help people who literally can't afford daycare. So when you have to choose between having a part-time job or a job at $13 an hour and trying to figure out daycare, or taking this time to get supplements from the government and actually living rather than living out of fear and trying to juggle children, that's a huge problem.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you so much for that overview of just how you all have been experiencing the shift that the pandemic has created in our community. So now we want to just have each of you talk just a little bit about the services that you provide and how people might benefit from your agency and what's going on there. So we're going to go with Lindsay and then Chris and then Leslie there. We're going to intersperse some poll questions in between. And then I want you all to know who are participating, you will have a chance, you will have the opportunity to ask questions. We just want to give you a fuller overview of the people that are here represented here and what services they provide. And then you can ask questions. So questions are coming in just a little bit, but right now we're going to go back to Lindsay and you're going to talk a little bit about some of the services that Blue Jacket provides and how you might help people in this predicament that we're in.
Absolutely. So Blue Jacket, here at Blue Jacket, our mission is to provide training and opportunities to anyone who has a barrier to employment, but is striving to earn gainful employment. So our goal is, if you are having a hard time getting or keeping a job, our goal is to help you work through why you're having those problems and to better prepare you for the job market right now. We do that through a 2-week class. It's called the Career Academy. So for 2 weeks, Monday through Friday from 9 to 1, we, I'm sorry, the chat just distracted me. We have this class where we teach pre-employment training classes. So it's all about discovery. Who am I? What am I good at? What are my skills? And how do I match that to a job? One of the things that we find is that for the longest time, people were just trying to make themselves fit a job instead of finding a job that really fits them. So our goal is to help you figure that out. And then how do I get that job? So job searching, applications, resumes, interviews, all of those things that you have to do to get a job. How we did it before COVID and now how we're doing it since COVID. And then the last piece is, now that I have the job, how do I make sure that I get to keep it? So we talk about all of those social norms that we're just supposed to know about, but in all reality, a lot of us don't. So we talk about conflict management and communication styles and, how do you stay away from all of the scuttle in the break room, and what do you do if your kids are sick and you have to go to work? So we talk through all of those things and we help people make plans, figure out what their barriers are and how to work through them. After that, we have something called Blue Jacket Staffing, which is our alternative staffing agency. And we actually help people find jobs within the community. We partner with companies all over the area and we help fill jobs. So once you've been through the program, you're then eligible for job placement with us.
It's so complex that it is almost a full-time job looking for jobs. And a lot of people aren't prepared for that. And so the more time that we've spent talking with folks about this opportunity today, people have come and communicated that who has time to look for work, and it's come out in very different ways. The struggle becomes, like we've already mentioned, a lot of the life happenstances that occur, but beyond that, there's definitely going to be these places where there's a disconnect with what they do on a regular day basis and being able to get ready to send out all those applications. It's good to have a guiding hand out there to help people with that struggle.
Yeah, we tell people all the time, looking for a job is a full-time job, and you should plan to put as much effort into that as you do working your regular job.
Very good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're getting some good feedback here in the chat. Ruben is talking about how, it's tough to work some of those lower paying jobs. And he is looking for a job that will pay a little bit more and allow him to work from home, which for many of us is a dream, working from home. Although for me, it's actually not. But we won't even get into that. I like getting away and working and being around people and that type of thing. So it takes all kinds, huh? So now we're going to go to another poll question. It's time for another poll question, and then we're going to go to Chris. Okay, so poll question 2, so that we can get a little bit more interaction between some of you guys. Okay, so poll. Question 2, why does transitioning careers appeal to you? Why does transitioning careers appeal to you? I want to increase my pay. I hate my job. I have a dream and I want to pursue it. I'm unemployed and want to re-enter the workforce. I want to learn some new skills, or other. So let's give you just a few minutes to put your answers there. Ruben, I think we know why you want to, huh? Well, you participate in the poll. Thank you so much for your engagement. Who else? Why do you want to transition? Why do you want to transition? How are we doing, Felicia?
There are still a few people who are in the webinar who have not submitted to this poll, so I'll give it just a few more seconds. So if you're one of those people, if you can submit your answer, we can keep it moving. And here they come.
Okay, little pressure there.
All right, I'm gonna close the poll. So let's close this and share the results.
Okay, so we've got, most people want to learn new skills. Okay, well, I shouldn't say most people, but several people want to learn new skills. Some people want an increase of pay. 29%, I have a dream and I want to pursue it. And then there are some others again. If you got other, type it into the chat. Let us know what that other is. But we got 29%, I want to increase my pay. Nobody hates their job on here. Wonderful and awesome. Okay. 29% have a dream and want to pursue it. I love pursuing dreams. I am the dream pursuer. I'm unemployed and want to re-enter the workforce. I want to learn some new skills. So wonderful. That just gives us a picture of who is participating and how we can better help. It's refreshing to hear that people want to learn new skills, because you don't have to stop learning as long as you live. You can always continue to learn some new things. And so right now, this is a wonderful, I didn't know the segue was going to be that good. This is a wonderful segue to learning new skills as we talk, as we begin to listen to Chris Dowse with Ivy Tech. So Chris, tell us a little bit about what Ivy Tech can offer for those people who want to learn new skills.
So Ivy Tech obviously is Indiana's full-fledged community college. We offer more than 1,000 classes online, but we also have face-to-face classes with small class sizes, located in 40 different locations. And we're in 75 different communities. So a student can go to Ivy Tech in Fort Wayne, Sellersburg, Tell City, any little small town, they can access Ivy Tech. But particularly for Fort Wayne, our other campus is located in Warsaw. And then we have community sites throughout Northeast Indiana. So that's our service area. And we have 7 different schools that students can attend that house our programs. We have the School of Business, Logistics and Supply Chain, Public Affairs and Social Services, Information Technology, Arts Sciences and Education, Health Sciences, Nursing, Advanced Manufacturing, Engineering, and Applied Science. So we have a variety of programs that people can come back to get training in. I want to highlight a couple of things that we are very exciting about Ivy Tech and what we're doing now. We have a program called Ivy Plus, and that's our new approach to our tuition, which means that our tuition is banded. So tuition is frozen. So the cost will not increase for our 2021-22 academic year. So that's fall 21, spring 22, summer 22. And that price for credit hour will be $149.55. So a student can take 12 credit hours, and then anything above that 12 credit hours is free.
That's amazing.
So if they want to do 15, 17, that's completely free for the student. Students also this year will receive free textbooks for the academic year as well. So coming back to Ivy Tech to retrain and taking 12 credit hours, you can get a whole bunch of benefits and actually, get close to completing a degree in a year. And depending upon what certificate program is, we have certificate programs that you definitely can complete in a year, some in a semester. Just depends on what the interest may be and what you're trying to do, what the student is trying to do. We have a program called Achieve Your Degree, and that works in partnership with employers. So if you're at an employer who has a tuition reimbursement program, you can work with our Achieve Your Degree coordinator. Her name is Jennifer Krupa, and they can work with you with that program. And what that allows for the student to do is to come back to school, but they will have minimum upfront costs because we kind of delay that cost until they finish up the class and get their reimbursement from their institution. And so we have a lot of students that participate in Achieve Your Degree. And then we have Next Level Jobs, and that's a big program. And that's in partnership with Workforce Development or Work One. So people can use if they qualify for the Work Ready grant, they can utilize those dollars as well to support that. And at our particular Ivy Tech campus, we focus on information technology and business services, as well as transportation and logistics. Transportation and logistics is gigantic right now. You're talking about people can find jobs driving trucks, driving school buses. That's a very high need field right now, as well as students wanting to go into welding. That's another big need for our community. So we have a lot of different programs that focus on the needs of what our community needs, as well as what are the needs of our state. And then we also have a program called Ivy Works, and that program falls within my office, and it is an employment and training program. It's funded through FSSA. So we work with students who are receiving food stamps, and they can pursue a short-term certificate program that can be completed in the semester. And it's completely free to the student. The funding is there to cover their tuition. All they have to do is apply for the program and pick one of the programs that has been designated to be covered by the funding and do the work. And so there's a lot of programs out there, and there's a lot of money out there to help cover those costs so that students won't have to come out of pocket if they want to go back to get retrained and to get a better job.
That's fantastic. I'm reminded always of the people who we always want to reach, who are maybe haven't taken the first steps to connect with you. later on, if you would invite us to share any of that kind of conversation from any of the panelists or I'm sorry, from any of our guests, to get in touch with you to be able to get that first step started with any of your organizations, of course.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. And I mean, he broke that down to the penny. He said $100 and some and 55 cents. That is all for a credit hour. Okay. And then free above 12 hours. I mean, that is awesome. You can't get any better than that. So if you're looking to learn some new skills, as several of you said that you were, obviously Ivy Tech has got some great programs going on there just for that, plus free textbooks. Now it's time for another poll question. I know y'all are loving these poll questions, right? I hope so. As you can tell, this is our first time doing poll questions, so we're very excited about these. So the third poll question is this: what do you feel you need most to successfully transition? What do you need most to transition and to get to where you want to be? Do you need more education, like Chris was just talking about, a degree or certificate? We've got some some language and conversation in the chat about what's going to in the future become a degree or a certificate. Do you need courage to step out and try and just do it? Okay, Leslie's going to be talking about that in a little bit, or I don't know if she's going to be talking about that, but she usually talks about it a little bit. The courage to step out and try and start your own thing. Do you need better interviewing skills? Obviously, Lindsay can help with that. And her agency specializes in better interviewing skills and presenting yourself in such a way and marketing yourself in such a way that you can get the job that you're seeking. Funding to start your business. Maybe you need capital. Do you need professional connections? A lot of people say it's not what you know, it's who you know. References. How do you get all of those things going? Okay, so I hope you have, as I've been talking, you've been answering this question in the poll. Answering this question in the poll. Are they answering the question in the poll, Felicia?
It's starting, yes.
Okay.
We still are waiting just for a few folks. It's been a little slow on this one, but people are starting to trickle in their answers.
Okay, they're thinking about it. They're thinking, okay, what do I need to transition?
I feel like, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
When I made this poll, I should have put like more than one of the above, because I think we would have learned a little more.
That could be. And the thing about it is sometimes also people don't know what they don't know, and they don't know what they need. So it could be a little difficult. This could be one that's kind of teasing the brain a little bit. All right. Okay, we're ready?
I'm going to end the poll.
Okay.
And let me show everyone the results.
All right. So we got 13% saying they need more education. 13% saying they need courage. Nobody needs better interviewing skills. I don't know. Maybe you don't know that you need better interviewing skills. I need better interviewing skills. I think everybody needs better interviewing skills. We can improve on our interviewing skills. 13% said they need funding to start the business. Okay. We got 38% saying need more professional connections and references. Those things can be very important. And then we've got the infamous other, 38% saying that's something other that we don't even know. And I bet they won't put it in the chat. I bet they won't put that in the chat. Okay, so we're just going to go with that. So we've got kind of an overview of what people think they need, right? And now we're going to go to our last panel, last but not least panelist, Leslie Hill with the Entrepreneurial Opportunity Center. So Leslie's going to share her screen. She's got a short presentation that will kind of complement her talk.
I do. And when I go to presentation mode, can you guys see this? Presentation mode? Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm a visual person. So should I start a business? How do we know that? When is it time? The first thing that happens typically is you get this great idea. Say, you know what? I love painting. So you just start painting. You get out there and you're like, I'm doing this, but you haven't told anybody, you haven't done any research, anything. And shockingly, no one purchases from you. They're just crickets. No one knows you're there. So what we do at the WEOC is we help you think through to strategize, come up with goals, give you some tools and connections that help you start the business. So it would look more like this. You have this idea. I really am a good painter. Maybe I should start painting. Who do I think is going to purchase from me? Who do I want to draw? Who do I want to paint? And then I'm going to go look for those people. I'm going to do focus groups. I'm going to send out surveys. I'm going to ask other painters, and I'm going to talk to people one-on-one. And from all of that data, before I ever start my business, I'm going to decide if anybody will actually pay for this. Who will pay for this? Will I meet my budget to make the amount of money that I want to make to sustain my life? So again, everybody, when I do presentations and I say, raise your hand if you've had an idea, the whole room will raise their hand about starting a business. Now, the next question I ask is, why didn't you go after it? Or how many of you actually acted upon that? Maybe 2 or 3 hands will go up. So it never fails. Everyone's full of ideas. We want to help you make these things come to fruition and actually be financially sustaining for you. So we do need to go and find out who might, how are you going to put money down on the business? Who are you going to sell it to? That's really, really important and something people skip. And then how are you going to sell that? Are you going to go to a farmer's market? Are you going to go to a gallery? Are you going to, there are so many options. From there, just like Sharon was talking about, the other panelists are talking about, it's so important to get out there and network. Go ask people. So go to a banker, understand what they would be looking for if you were to start this business. How much insurance do you have to have? What would an attorney say? Do you have to have some kind of disclaimer for people that you are painting? What is a CPA going to say? How should you file your business? All of these things go into starting the business. And again, from there, when you start networking, it's so important to share, and people don't want to share until it's perfect. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. Like if you think of most people when they start a family, they will say something like, well, if I have this much money in the bank, it's never going to happen. We're never going to have that much money. And then after we have kids, we're never going to have that much money because our kids take all of our money. So it's just like that with a business, but you do have to figure out how you're going to be able to network to have money coming in. So in the long run, I skipped a lot of steps, but that's the basic concept. You're going to start with your idea. You're going to research. You're going to decide if it's right for you once you've done all this research. You're going to then form your entity, which is either an LLC or an S Corp or something. Find a couple mentors who have done it before you. Get out there, start talking to people, and then we move into, if I can move us, I can't see behind here and I can't remember what's there. But either way, you got to get out there and start selling.
It's create marketing materials, Leslie.
Oh, thank you. Okay, yes, thank you. So you have to do that as well. At least something, a business card, a logo, something that's recognizable. Thank you, Sharon.
And then utilize a business coach such as yourself.
Yes, this is why we're here. We have several options that are either free or very low cost in our area. Myself, there's the ISBDC, there is SCORE, there's so many options to you. So please don't go it alone. It is not a joyful ride without somebody. And so if you have any questions, please reach out to any of us and ask, is this a good idea? How do I know?
Thank you so much, Leslie, for that informative and lively presentation there. And we're going to get into some questions we have one question directed straight at Leslie here, so we might as well get into that. Leslie, Pat wants to know, would you suggest taking a course on how to start a business?
Yes, and you know what? There are free courses on this. So even if you were to go to the SBA, they have it translated in Spanish and English. So they're little courses, they're animated, they're fun. There's so much out there that you should do. Definitely. Great, Chris. Yes.
Okay. All right. Are there other questions in the chat, Felicia or Javier, that you guys have been noticing that I did not notice? I know there's been some chatter going back and forth.
I would comment, though, for folks who are looking to find some skills that are just interested in just learning a hobby to the degree where they can use it professionally. I know a lot of people who have taken up photography and a variety of other different media, and then of course the graphic arts and things like that that can translate to all of these other side skills that are still job improvement things too. And I've just frankly gone over to YouTube and tried to pick up all of that stuff there, you know, but all the places that life's teachers go and contribute to, go and pick it up.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you, Javier, for that input. We've got some chatter going on here in the chat I want to look at before we get into some of the other questions here. We've got, who is this? Okay, Peggy saying, yes, she works a lot with people in the community that think college is out of reach. Perhaps you can talk a little bit more about that, Chris. People are thinking that college is out of reach. How can we talk to them or let them know that it's not? Or is it?
I don't think it's not out of reach. I think it's trying to figure out where you want to go and what is it that you want to do. That's why I think it's always positive or a good start for a student to focus at a community college and then figure out what they want to do. Then they can apply to our four-year partners here in the city. Because the community college is inexpensive. So the investment is not it's not a whole bunch of money, but it is an investment. But you can explore different opportunities at low cost. Plus, you also can access our career coaching and employer connections department. You can do some career assessments and figure out what is it that you want to do. And if Ivy Tech doesn't offer that program, then we'll work with you to try to get you to the program where what you want to focus on, what you want to study. But I think it's always a good start to look at the community college and then get that access. And, you know, we take a we focus on the entire community, and we have students coming to us with a variety of different levels of education. And so we will work with those potential students to get them up to the level that they can do college work at the school. So I think it's having that courage to go and put that application in and working through that process and not giving up on that dream of what they're wanting to accomplish, and figuring out, you know, what is the best place for me, what's the best institution, the right fit for me for the degree program that I want to seek or the trade that I want to get, because there's more, you know, we offer more than just degrees. You know, we have trades as well, and assistantships and those apprenticeships as well. So there's a lot of opportunities, but you can't be afraid to go and have that conversation and figure out what it is that you want to do. And it's at no cost. The only cost you're going to be spending is your time, and investing in your education with your time is, I think, something we would all agree is very positive. So I would suggest to go out there and make that attempt and make that first start. And, you know, I'm more than willing to talk to anyone who wants to go to college. So.
Okay. So we'll be distributing some contact information, or you guys are putting it in the chat also, but we'll also be distributing some contact information in our follow-up email. So thank you very much for that, Chris. I see in the chat that Ruben has recommended the book 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, I want to say. And Leslie has given that recommendation a thumbs up as a fabulous book. So please get that. 0 to 1 by Peter, Thiel. I have a question that I want to pose to our panelists. We've been talking about some different things and skills and classes and certifications that people might get if they want to change careers and transition. What do you think are some careers or businesses that might actually thrive during times like these? What are some fields that people could get into? If you're in this and you say, hey, I want to increase my pay, what might be an ideal field to get into? Who wants to tackle that? I don't see anybody unmuting.
I'll give it a shot. I think right now, looking for careers that don't require close contact, you know, in the research and the things that we've been looking at, the fields that are growing right now are those that don't require you to be in close contact with people. The other thing that's interesting is that transportation is skyrocketing right now. So distribution, transportation, the moving of products and people are very big right now. Obviously, any kind of technology, coding, automation, things of that nature are also very in demand and are only going to continue to grow in demand as we progress into the next 15, 20 years.
Great insight. Javier, did you have something to add?
I was just looking at a small list of things, and I was maybe offering this back up as maybe just an amendment or just a nod, yes or no, if these were on the right track, of some additional areas which are currently growing. We've seen this whole world of Amazon and instant shipping, shipping and delivery and logistics, as Lindsay had already mentioned. And as Chris is appropriately part of our program today, online learning. Grocery stores, believe it or not, I mean, the distribution centers and the hiring in those, I have seen some enormous increases in those fields. But like most anybody else who's going to be an administrator to remote work, those jobs are definitely growing. And then, of course, there's cleaning supplies and healthcare.
All fields that are looking up, it seems. Thank you so much. Anyone else have anything to add with that? We've got some comments in the chat.
You know, one thing that we often don't think about is like life coaching or mental health services. That is a huge opportunity right now, whether you can even create some kind of technology around that. You know, we've seen BetterHelp and a couple of these others really accelerate their growth during this time. So we often all want to help people, and that is one really good option.
That's a great observation, Leslie. Health Visions Midwest does do mental health presentations. So we do short workshops, so to speak, or classes on anxiety and depression. So this is not someone who needs like a professional counselor, but we give tips and advice on how to manage anxiety and depression. And those classes have basically skyrocketed since the pandemic because it is such a need. So yes, indeed, if you had the skills or you wanted to learn the skills to be able to create some type of mental health or virtual option for people, then that does seem like it would be a great area to look into. We've got a number of things here in the chat. We've got, Miss Denise, she's retired, but she's not dead yet. And she is a supportive housing, she's at Rivers Edge Supportive Housing Community, and she's a community builder there. And residents have had problems with housing and veterans, ex-felons, or yes, these are the residents who live there. Mental health issues and similar issues might have resulted in homelessness. She would like to update us on options options for her residents to attend Ivy Tech or financial advice for those who still have student loan debt. Okay, so she wants that information to help the residents there at River's Edge, the supportive housing community. And Ruben has got some ideas as well about areas for working that could be thriving during this time, such as banking and coding, which we've talked about a lot. Okay, anyone else? Any other questions? We're wrapping up here, y'all. We've got 10 more minutes. Any other questions for our panelists before I start in? I have just a couple more. Okay, well, I'm going to ask my questions then, if if you guys are being shy. So so does it make sense? I know we've got this webinar going and we've been talking a lot, but does it really make sense to start a business in this economic climate?
This is a great question because we get it often. Sometimes, especially when you have this idea and you go out and you tell your friends and family, and the first response there is like, "What? No, that would never work." And so you immediately just push it out of the way. First of all, my first tip to you is never tell friends and family, because most people are not entrepreneurs. So very few people are eager to take risks. We all want that paycheck and we want to keep moving. We want sustainability. And with starting a business, all of that little safety net goes away. And all the people you know will have no idea how to support you through that because they would never do it themselves. So it is a phenomenal time for some businesses. When you think of the stay-at-home order, the majority of the country, of course, froze. They might have had layoffs and furloughs, but there are also a lot of companies that really thrived. We had a baking company, she does pies. She exploded because we all were in our sweatpants. It's March and we wanted to eat all the crap. And so her business took off. So there are things like this. That's why it's so important to do your research. What is the need? What is out there that that you can fulfill? It's not necessarily about what you love to do and what you hope, or maybe even what you know people need. It's all about what people will pay you for. That's the difference between having a business and just doing something you love.
Great insight. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you. And okay, so as we close out here, I want to leave our participants with some, some very tangible things that they can do in order to transition, make the transitions that they're hoping for. So I want our panelists to discuss some steps that will get people on the right path for a transition. If they want to transition their jobs, what steps educationally do they need to take? If they want to transition, what are some steps that they can take to market themselves better? If they want to transition, what can they do right now to start their business? So let's start with Lindsay. What are some actual steps that people can take to get going?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things when you're thinking about transitioning careers is just knowing who you are. Know who you are, know what you're good at, know what your skills are, and do your research. So know what it is that you want to go into, know what's expected in those careers, know what the employers are looking for in those careers. Go in and really know who you are and what it is that you're trying to get into. Too often people go into a job or a field because they think it pays well or the benefits are great, only to find out that either they really don't even like it or it doesn't match their skill base. So really market who you are and have examples ready as to how you can be a benefit in this field. You do not have to have, this degree or that degree all of the time. A lot of the times I just need to be able to showcase that I have what you need as an employer. And many times that is soft skills and hard skills that really don't even, show up in that job description.
Lindsay, thank you. Real quick, what are soft skills? Just for our
So
people.
yes, so soft skills, we call them universal skills. They're skills that transfer to all different kinds of jobs and activities. Think personality skills. So great communication, hard worker, time management, things of that nature.
Wonderful. And Javier is seconding everything that you said in the chat. And he's saying, write down your thoughts, solidify your knowledge about yourself. That is a great tip.
Mhm.
Write down, who am I? What are my soft skills?
Yes.
And what are some of the hard skills, which would then be, what computer technology, all of those types of things that are hands-on skills or what have you, that the job that the employer might be looking for.
Mhm.
Okay, Chris, give us some steps. What can we do right now?
I would say go to come to our career coaching employer connections department and get career testing. So you can figure out what your interest is and where you can go next. And meet with a career coach. And from there, they can help you figure out where you want to go. If it's Ivy Tech, it's Ivy Tech. If it's PFW or Indiana University, Fort Wayne, or Trine or Indiana Tech, then you can pick that institution. But I think you need to find out what your interest is, or a new interest that you never knew you had, and what those opportunities are, and then make a decision from there as to where you're going to go to get to increase your skill set or to get the required credential to go into that field.
Awesome. Okay, that is a great idea. Get tested. What do I want? What can I do? And then how can it translate into a job? How does all the stuff that I have inside of me actually translate into the workforce? Okay, Leslie, what can people do? Give us some steps.
All right, mine's going to be a little crazy.
Uh-oh.
It's going to go a little different road because it's entrepreneur. But I want you to start putting yourself out there with the knowledge that you have. So say you grew up in the restaurant businesses, but what you have a ton of knowledge just through the years of doing what you do, and you love technology. Start getting out there. Go on LinkedIn. Give it Quick Tip Tuesday. I can't even tell you what that did for my brand, and I didn't even know I was doing it on purpose. Put that knowledge out there. People will come to you knowing that you have expert advice. People don't usually ask you, do you have a degree in that? They know because what the advice that you're giving is true. So putting yourself out there. The second one is to get a little non-traditional. Just start taking a couple entry-level jobs. I know women are probably more apt to do this than men because we feel the need to have a lot of certifications or a lot of know-how behind us. I remember when I first had kids, I was like, oh my gosh, should I go work in a daycare just so I know how to make kids listen to me? That's the kind of weird women do. So try something like that. Go out there, get that little bit of experience. Can you do it in a little part-time job? Can you volunteer in these areas? There are a ton of boards around here. There's 1,600 different nonprofits. Can you volunteer and offer your services in that way?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Leslie. Those are some concrete steps that you can take. Another step, our own Javier Zaragoza is doing some different things in terms of goal setting. Javier, you want to talk quickly about what you've got in store for people that they can take advantage of?
Well, to rob one of Blue Jacket's lines that the director, Tony Hudson, mentioned to me, it talks about the whole idea that if you really have goals in your mind, but you don't do anything to pursue them, you're basically just putting out dreams and putting some action steps that are tangible, measurable, and identifiable. Finding things that are effective. Those are the things that are going to get you closer to what you want and less of what you don't. And so here soon, we're going to give some presentations to help people kind of focus a little bit on whatever it is that they want to. But if there's something that you want more of or less of, let's talk about it. And let's start putting together some personal life goal plans.
Okay, so he is here and he is available to to kind of help you put together your own personal life plan. And we know that Leslie can do some of that with, businesses and things like that. And so can Lindsay as well. So we've got these services here for you. We want to help you to transition your career. And we hope you have taken from this panel and this discussion some of the great tips, and that you will not only just listen, but you will be doers of what you have heard, that you will actually put some action behind the great information that has been presented here. Now, don't log off just yet. Don't log off just yet. We have a couple of things that we want to tell you about. We've got a survey that's coming up. We've got a questionnaire that we need you to fill out. And we're going to be sending some of that in a follow-up email. Felicia, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so right when we end this webinar, on your screen will pop up with a survey, and that survey is just kind of what you thought of this webinar. As Sharon has mentioned, this is our first webinar that we've done of this style. So we kind of just want to get some feedback of what maybe went well and what we can change for the future. And then I will be following up with a follow-up email later on. And in that email, I'm going to be sending out a just like a document that if you could fill it out for us. So will give us some more information on you, and then that will also help us know for the future what we can do better, and again, how we can better be serving you and tailoring our service to maybe what your needs are.
And that follow-up email, that client profile form, is a fillable PDF. So you can type right on there and send that back to us. That will be extremely helpful for us because we are grant funded. And so we need to tell our grantors that we're doing something with this. Now, we're doing something with the funds that they're giving us. This program, as you have seen, is recorded. And so we're going to get a lot of bang for our buck out of this because we're going to be distributing this program online and on our YouTube channel, and we're going to send out the link. And so we know that others will be watching this information and looking at this information. And we ask that when we send this link to you in the follow-up email, that you would distribute that as well to those that you know, because I know that you know other people who are looking to transition their careers. All right. So again, I thank you for all of those who participated today and came on and gave your great feedback. Thank you. And thank you to each of the panelists, Lindsay, Chris, and Leslie. What a great job. And we have learned so much. So until next time, I'm Sharon with Health Visions. Contact us anytime at 745-1600. That's where you can find Health Visions if you have any questions. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.